Firstpost reports from the world's second largest continent. Hello, I'm Alison Lagrange. A very warm welcome from Durban, South Africa. We get you the news and the newsmakers from Africa. From elections to climate change to innovations and opportunities. As the world's attention shifts, we report from Africa, the heart of the global south. Join me every weekday live on Firstpost. Hello and welcome to Firstpost Africa, where we get you the top stories from the continent and from across the world. I'm Alison Lagrange, coming to you live from Durban, South Africa. First, let's take a look at the headlines. Israel faces mounting backlash as it bans main UN Palestinian aid agency for the Gaza Strip. The UN Security Council, the United States and Jordan criticized the move. Iran's government proposes to triple its military budget as tensions with arch-rival Israel rise after tit-for-tat missile strikes. The 2024 race for the White House has entered its final week, with Donald Trump and Kamala Harris competing in an incredibly close fight in national and swing state polling. Australian Prime Minister Anthony Albanese under fire over accusations of asking for free personal flight upgrades from the former CEO of the national carrier Qantas when he was Transport Minister from 2007 to 2013. And at least 11 people have been killed and over 50 injured as violence continues to plague Mozambique after a disputed presidential election that declared the ruling Frelimo party the winner. Hello and welcome. We start with Morocco, where French President Emmanuel Macron is on a 3-day state visit. The visit highlights strengthening ties between the two nations after years of diplomatic tensions. Morocco rolled out the red carpet for Macron. The French president received a warm ceremonial welcome, with crowds of people cheering for him in the streets of Rabat. Now, during a meeting with the Moroccan King Mohammed VI, the two leaders signed a historic partnership agreement. It's the declaration on the reinforced exceptional partnership that aims to better address shared challenges by mobilizing all relevant sectors of bilateral, regional and international cooperation. Not just this, but the two nations have also reached significant deals totaling over $10 billion. The deals covered sectors like energy and infrastructure, and more agreements are expected during Macron's trip. Macron is also scheduled to address the Moroccan parliament. Macron's trip is seen as a reset visit by Paris after years of tensions with Rabat. These differences were over a range of issues, including immigration. Moroccans are the second largest foreign-born community in France. In 2021, France temporarily but dramatically reduced the number of visas granted to citizens of several countries, including Morocco. Rabat suspended diplomatic relations in response. Then, a statement by the European Parliament in 2023 condemning a rollback in the kingdom's freedom of the press also ramped up tensions. But the most prominent of the issues has been the Western Sahara dispute. Western Sahara is a vast expanse by a sparsely populated territory in the northwest of Africa. Now, most of the region is controlled by Morocco, but an Algeria-backed pro-independent front has been seeking independence. And this is why Macron's visit to Morocco could be closely watched by Morocco's neighbor, Algeria. Now, although Algeria does not claim Western Sahara, it provides support to the pro-independence Polisario Front, which wants a separate nation for Western Sahara. For years, Paris had been walking a tightrope between its former colony Algiers and former protectorate Rabat over the issue with its ambiguous stance. But in July this year, Paris took a diplomatic turn and backed Morocco's claim over the disputed territory. Morocco only supports limited autonomy for Western Sahara, and its plan is backed by the US, Spain, Israel, and now France. Macron's visit comes months after this diplomatic shift by Paris, which made it seem that it has chosen Rabat over Algiers. Algeria recalled its ambassador from France in its angry response. France, which was accused of a brutal colonization of Algeria under the leadership of Macron, made significant outreach to reset ties with Algeria. The two nations grew closer ties. However, reports suggest that over the years, Macron's enthusiasm for Algeria has faded, as the country has not been able to prioritize France as its key ally. At a time when France is losing influence in other parts of the continent, Algeria has failed to act as a mediator. On the other hand, Morocco has been securing significant deals with the Sahelian juntas, who have expelled French troops. Morocco has also remained a key investment destination for France, while France is Morocco's top trading partner. So Macron could be seeking a better economic and geopolitical ally in Africa and is making attempts to woo the North African nation. But will France's pick-and-choose game further cause a rift in North Africa? For more on this, we are being joined by Mahamadou Sampara, an analyst at the Morocco World News. He is joining us live from Rabat. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Now, what are the key diplomatic or economic objectives that Macron aims to achieve during his visit to Morocco, and how do they reflect the current state of the Franco-Moroccan relations?
Thank you for this question. I think if we want to not only assert and also analyze the current unfolding visit of Macron in Morocco, we need to put it in a context. And as you mentioned, in recent years, Moroccan-France relations ties due to circumstances such as visa restraint, the Western Sahara situation, and also other scandalous, let's say, events that's kind of under the diplomatic, political, and economic political ties between both countries. But what is important in this, let's say, situation is that yet the diplomatic ties and political ties were kind of cooler, but the economic tie remains. And Morocco is France's first trading partner in North Africa, and I mean first customer and first supplier. And for this visit, which featured more than 40 French prominent business leaders with Macron in Macron delegation, accumulated the signing of, you yourself mentioned it, the 22 investment agreement worth nearly 10 billion euro. So this substantial investment is indicative of not only France's commitment to strengthen economic ties, particularly in vital sector for Morocco, and by that I mean the renewable energy, including how can I say, energy, technology, infrastructure, and even connectivity with the national railway companies signing different agreements, and also the fact that Macron emphasized in collaboration, particularly in the field of renewable energy, as priority for Morocco, as the country aims to achieve 52% of its energy production from renewable sources by 2030. 2030 include, right, let's say, the partnership in solar energy, electric mobility, with which align in Morocco broader goals and sustainable development and energy independence.
Right, Mahamadou. Now, how has Algeria interpreted Macron's focus on Morocco, and what potential diplomatic or economic consequences could arise from this perceived snub?
Yeah, I think if there is a snub, I think it's already happened back in, let's say, July 30, when Macron sent this official letter to King Mohammed VI, saying that the future and the present and also the future of Western Sahara fallen into the Moroccan sovereignty. So if there is a snap, I think it's happened till then, and we saw from the Algerian side some, let's say, proactive or even, I might say, aggressive initiative, which includes reinstalling the, let's say, the visa between Algeria and Morocco. So any Moroccan trying to enter Algeria now needs a visa to enter in Algeria. So this Macron visit could potentially recalibrate this regional dynamic, particularly in the light of this geopolitical, in Morocco's geopolitical involving, let's say, posture. And we saw it recent years. Morocco has been asserting itself as a responsible regional leader, engaging in diplomatic and economic initiatives across Africa, particularly in the Sahel with the Atlantic Initiative or the Sahelian access, the King Initiative of the Sahelian countries' access to the Atlantic, and also the Moroccan-Nigerian Gazoduc Initiative. So the significant French investments and the broader partnership between the two nations, let's say, can enhance this Morocco's economic resilience, thereby strengthening its negotiating position with neighboring countries, including Algeria. And this may provoke a strategic response from Algeria, which has historically been wary of French influence in the region. And I think to enhance the enhanced partnership between France and Morocco could lead Algeria and to reassess its own alliances, potentially strengthening its tie with non-Western countries, such as non-Western powers, such as Russia and China, both countries which have shown interest in North African geopolitics. And moreover, I think Morocco and France positioning on regional stability could further exacerbate this tension with Algeria, particularly in the Sahel, where Algeria is losing ground and influence, particularly in countries like Mali and other countries. So Algeria may view this unfolding partnership as a direct challenge to its own declining influence, not only in North Africa, but also in Sahel, leading to increased military readiness and a more assertive and aggressive, I might say, foreign policy.
Right. Mohamedou, thank you very much for being with us on Firstpost Africa and for your valued insights on all the latest there.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Shifting our focus toward Chad now, where Boko Haram has launched a deadly attack on the country's military. Around 40 soldiers were killed in an attack on military base located in Chad's Lake region over the weekend. While the perpetrators remain unidentified, the government blamed the Boko Haram for the attack on Sunday. Reports suggest that Boko Haram terrorists targeted a garrison housing more than 200 Chadian soldiers in the volatile region. They also seized weapons and burned vehicles equipped with arms. Now, the attack reportedly took place on an island called Barkaram in the Lake Chad region. The area is close to the border zones of Nigeria and Niger, where Islamist militants are known to operate. Now, the Chadian President Mahamat Idris Deby Itno visited the scene and vowed to launch an operation to track down the assailants.
There has been fighting. Thanks to our brave defense and security forces, the situation is now under control. Unfortunately, we have many martyrs and casualties too. We're going to hunt down every last one of them. We're going to hunt them down wherever they go. We're going to follow them. We're going to pursue them. We're going to eliminate them one by one. In a few days' time, they will see the thunderbolts of the Chadian National Army.
Around 15 opposition parties in Chad demanded that the circumstances in which the onslaught took place be clarified. Now, Max Mkoya, the spokesman of the opposition grouping GCAP, took to social media to question the government and circumstances that led to the attack. Lake Chad region's countless islets have served as hideouts for jihadist groups such as Boko Haram and its offshoot Islamic State in West Africa, who launch regular attacks on the country's army and civilians. The Lake Chad covers territories in 4 countries, including Nigeria, Cameroon, Niger, and Chad. But what is Boko Haram, and why is it operating in this region? Let's understand. Now, Boko Haram started as an Islamic sectarian movement, which was founded in 2002 by Mohammed Yusuf in northeastern Nigeria. The group's initial proclaimed intent was to uproot the corruption and injustice in Nigeria, which they blame on Western influences. They also want to impose the Sharia or the Islamic law and to establish an Islamic State. The group began an insurgency against the Nigerian government in 2009. In 2015, Boko Haram then pledged allegiance to the ISIL and took the name Islamic State West African Province, or the ISWAP. But later it split, with one faction retaining the name ISWAP and the other faction reverted to the original name. Now, since the beginning of the insurgency, the terror group has been carrying out frequent attacks against security officials and civilians, mass kidnappings, killings, and human rights abuses. Boko Haram has spread from Nigeria to different neighboring countries, including Chad, Niger, northern Cameroon, and Mali. In addition to their individual efforts to tackle Boko Haram, Nigeria, Cameroon, Chad, Niger, and Benin have together launched a counter-insurgency campaign called the Multinational Joint Task Force, or the MNJTF. The regional forces have aimed at retaking control of several territories from Boko Haram. Now, many other countries, including the US, France, China, and the UK, have also tried to help the Nigerian government to tackle the Boko Haram insurgency. But the conflict has displaced millions of people. The International Office for Migration in June recorded more than 220,000 people being displaced by attacks from armed groups in Lake Chad province. Now, Chad has for a long time suffered from insurgency in its western territories. It is an important ally of the French and the US forces, who are also aiming to fight the jihadists in the Sahel region. The attack over the weekend on the military base was one of the biggest attacks after the Chadian army suffered major losses in 2020, when around 100 troops died in a raid in the region. The assault had prompted the then President Idris Deby Itno, the current president's father, to launch an anti-jihadist offensive. Now, reports suggest that after the offensive, there was relative peace in the region. Schools, mosques, and churches had reopened, and humanitarian organizations returned to the region. But with the assaults from Boko Haram and its offshoots steadily increasing, it is yet to be seen whether the Chadian government's efforts bring back peace in the region or not. And now let's move our focus to Malawi, where an alleged plot to kill the president has been unfolded. One of Malawi's top opposition leaders, Patricia Kaliati, has been charged with plotting to kill the president, Lazarus Chakwera. Now, Kaliati appeared in a court in the capital city of Lilongwe on Monday, where she was formally charged. Kaliati, who is the Secretary General of the United Transformation Movement Party, or the UTM, was arrested last week on suspicion of conspiring with others to commit a serious offence. While appearing in the court, the 57-year-old politician did not speak a word, but reports suggest her lawyers argued that Kaliati maintained her innocence. There are very few details known about the alleged plot to kill the president. However, various opposition figures claim that the charges against Kaliati are politically motivated. The magistrate read out charges before a jam-packed courtroom that reportedly included party followers and hordes of admirers and sympathizers who were chanting anti-government songs. Now, Kaliati is accused of conspiring with two others to murder President Chakwera, who both remain at large. Now, the state prosecutor asked the court on Monday to grant 7 more days to finalize the investigations into the case, but the court eventually granted her bail. Who is Patricia Kaliati, and why has she been accused of plotting to kill the president? Let's understand. Kaliati has been leading the United Transformation Movement Party, which was founded by the late Vice President Solis Chilima, who died in a plane crash in June. She has held several ministerial posts in the cabinet of Malawi. The 57-year-old politician was a primary school teacher before she entered politics in 1999. Now, just after the plane crash, the UTM in July withdrew its support from the governing Tons Alliance, citing issues such as its late leader being ignored and arrested, among other problems. It was the third party to pull out of the alliance, which at one time included 9 political parties. However, the UTM's pullout from the alliance has not deterred President Chakwera from securing his party's support for a second term in next year's elections. 69-year-old Lazarus Chakwera has been serving as Malawi's president since June of 2020, and he has served as the leader of Malawi Congress Party since 2013. Together with Chilima, he had signed the Tons Alliance in 2020 to unseat the then President Peter Mutharika of the Democratic Progressive Party. A Malawi court nullified the 2019 elections that Peter Mutharika had won. But since coming to power, President Chakwera had been accused of corruption, nepotism, human rights violations, and of pushing the southern African country to the brink of an economic crisis. Now, the charges on Kaliati of a plot to kill the president are coming just ahead of next year's elections, which will be contested on issues including poverty, corruption, job growth, and inflation. So, has Malawi averted a national tragedy, an assassination of its president, or is the charge aimed at silencing the opposition just ahead of next year's election? As the investigation continues, we wait for more details to be revealed. And for our last story, let's move to Botswana, a diamond-rich country in southern Africa that is set to hold general elections on the 30th of October. The incumbent president, Mokgweetsi Masisi, is seeking a second term, which will extend his Botswana Democratic Party, or the BDP's 58 years in power. Under the BDP's rule, Botswana has gained the reputation of one of the most stable and prosperous democracies in Africa. But this time around, the party is expected to face its biggest competition yet. The opposition has been alleging vote rigging ahead of the elections. Over the weekend, several opposition activists took to the streets of the capital of Gaborone, and they were planning to march to Zimbabwe's embassy with a petition. The petition voiced concerns that the neighboring Zimbabwe is conspiring to help Botswana's ruling party extend its hold on power. But the protesters could not reach the destination. They were blocked by guns, batons, and shields-wielding police who pushed them back. The BDP and Zimbabwe's government have denied the allegations. Before getting into more details, let us tell you who are the rivals fighting this election. Now, number one is the 63-year-old Mokgweetsi Masisi. He is the incumbent president who belongs to the BDP. He has been the president since 2018, when he ascended to the post after serving as vice president. He is a former school teacher who worked for UNICEF before entering politics. His report card so far has been mixed. He gained support in his first term for negotiating a new sales deal with the world's largest diamond firm called De Beers. The deal is expected to give the country a bigger share of its diamond wealth. But he has received flack by the opposition, who has blamed him for not doing enough for the economy. Now, during his term, Botswana witnessed high unemployment and lower growth. He has also received a political setback over his fallout with Ian Khama, the ex-president under whom he served as the vice president. Now, Khama accuses him of authoritarianism and is backing the opposition. Now, moving on to the second candidate, Mefato Riatile. Now, the 57-year-old is the leader of the Botswana Patriotic Front. This is the same party which is backed by the ex-president, Ian Khama, after he fell out with the incumbent Mokwetsi Masisi. Now, Riatile is a close ally of Khama, but his party received only 4% of the votes in the last elections. The third candidate is Duma Boko. He is a 54-year-old lawyer and the leader of the left-wing Umbrella for Democratic Change, the UDC, an opposition coalition and the BDP's biggest challenger. Boko proposes increasing the government's role in the economy. Boko's party challenged the last election as fraudulent at the High Court, which dismissed the case. And lastly, Dumelang Saleshando. The 53-year-old is the leader of the Botswana Congress Party, the BCP, and he describes the party as one of having social democratic principles and is campaigning with the motto, Save Botswana. And this brings us to the key issues in the Botswana elections. First is economy. Botswana is heavily dependent on diamond production for its economy. The country is Africa's largest and the world's second largest diamond producer. But in recent years, it has experienced decreased revenue for its diamonds because of a downturn in demand. While mining revenues drive economic growth, they keep fluctuating. So despite all of the diamond wealth, Botswana has a wide disparity between rich and poor. The country is also facing rising unemployment. Overall unemployment has exceeded 27%, and the youth unemployment has surpassed 45%. Government employees have been receiving delayed salaries as a result of the tight financial position. It's not just finance, but climate change is also impacting Botswana. The country faces frequent floods and drought, which has threatened its agricultural production and has caused food insecurity. Drought and desertification has risked the livelihoods of many residents. Now, with these issues, the opposition has been gaining popularity in Botswana. Even though the country for years has been stable, the upcoming polls amid the economic challenges could be a crucial test for the Southern African nation. And that's it on the show for today. We will see you again tomorrow at the same time. Thank you for watching, and goodbye.